Have you ever been to your favorite barbecue joint and you had some of that pulled pork and you're like, man, this tastes so good? And I'm like, how could I make something like that? Well, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you how to make some pulled pork. First of all, you got to get a piece of meat, big old hunk of meat for this pulled pork. And what we have here is a pork shoulder or a Boston butt. It depends on what part of the country you're from is what it's going to be called. But you get some of that, usually it's going to be between 5 and 15 pounds. I got a 10 pounder right here. What you want to do is you want to unwrap it, trim off some of the excess fat, leave about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of fat, just so it don't dry it all out. Any more than that, it's not going to render down. So the only ingredients that I'm really going to use for this is kosher salt. The kosher salt is going to be what we're going to do when we call dry brining. It's not going to be a wet brine. You're basically going to sprinkle about 1/2 teaspoon per pound of meat all around this meat. So what's this, 10 pounds? We're going to have about 5 teaspoons of this kosher salt. Now, of course, I'm not going to measure it out. I'm just going to sprinkle it on till it look pretty good. And you want to have this dry brine for 12 to 24 hours. That salt is going to get down into that meat. It's going to break it down on the inside, and it's going to help retain the moisture when you make this meat. My other ingredient I have in this container that I made, it's the Meathead's Memphis Dust. I've used this on some recipes before, my rib recipe and my meatloaf recipe, but I'm going ahead and put a link in the description below, and you can go ahead and go to the website. It's on AmazingRibs.com. Go ahead and go there, make that Memphis Dust, and you should have enough to last you for a while. But just like all my other recipes, these are not my recipes. I've just found some things on the internet or through other people, and just either put my little spin on it or used it the way they did. I'm just showing you guys how to do it so you don't have to go through all the unnecessary research and work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to salt this. It's nighttime right now. I'm going to salt it, put it overnight, and then I'm going to take it out, and maybe a few hours before it's time to cook it, I'm going to go ahead and put that Memphis Dust on it. You want to spray it with some water or something first, and then put that Memphis Dust on it. We're going to heat our grill to about 225 to 250 degrees, and we're going to go low and slow. It's probably going to take an hour to an hour and a half per pound of meat that you have. So for me, it's going to take probably 10 to 15 hours to do this. So I plan on putting it in overnight, and waking up in the morning, early afternoon should be about done. I'm going to come back and show y'all what I'll do when I put my Memphis Dust on, and then I'll show you when I put it on the grill. This is going to be good. Also, you need to use a thermometer. So I have a meat thermometer I want to use. I'm going to be monitoring that temperature. When your meat gets to between 150 and 160 degrees, it's going to do a stall. During the stall, the temperature is going to it's going to be hard for it to rise. What that meat is doing is sweating, and it's forming that bark. So we're going to put a generous amount of this rub on so we can get that bark good and heavy. And then once it's done, we'll take it off the grill and we'll go ahead and pull it. I got some tools to pull it with. I got what's called bear paws, and I'll show you those when it's time to pull. That would be a quick way to do it. Otherwise, you can use forks or whatever. It's just going to take you a bit longer. So I'll see you guys later. Alright, now I got this salt on the kosher salt. I got it on the Boston butt, and I got it inside of a container. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up in some plastic wrap, and I'm going to set it in the refrigerator overnight, and probably maybe about, I don't know, 12 to 15 hours from now, I'll probably go ahead and put the Memphis Dust on it. Memphis Dust, like I say, the recipe is going to be on the bottom of the description, but it has no salt in it. And the reason why, we don't want our food extra salty. So the whole purpose of the salt is in this dry brine process to kind of keep that moisture in there. Other than that, for the rub, we can go ahead and put everything else we need to do in it. So we'll be back when it's time to put that rub on. Alright. Alright, so it's been about 15 hours and I've had this meat dry brining in a refrigerator. Now I'm going to get ready to go ahead and put some of this Memphis Dust on it. So I made the Memphis Dust in this container, and I poured some of it in an old shaking container just because it's easier to spread it on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a generous amount of this Meathead's Memphis Dust on the meat, and then I'm going to let it sit for a few more hours, I guess maybe 3 to 5 hours. You could do this in as little as 1 hour before cooking. I'm not really sure exactly when I'm going to start cooking, so I'm going to go ahead and let it get on here. When you put it on it at first, it's going to be like solid, so you want to put a generous amount of this Memphis Dust on here and at least let it sit for an hour. Mine's probably going to sit for about 3 to 5 hours. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to start this cook, but I'm putting it on, and if once it sits for a while, it's going to start to kind of caramelize, even though it's cold on here. Or not caramelize, but make a little glaze on it. Right now it's solid, but it's going to get a glaze. You want to make sure you get this Memphis Dust all over this meat on all sides. So not just the top and the bottom. You want to get the edges, because like I say, that bark is going to be good and it's going to be on all the edges. So you want to make sure you don't want to waste no surface area. You don't want to make all this cooking have some pieces that's not really bark or that good tasting bark. You can go ahead and pat it down if you want to, just to make sure it sticks some. And just when you got it on all the sides, you can come back and go back to the very first side. And just when you think you got enough, go ahead and put some more in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the refrigerator and prepare to cook. Alright, I'm going ahead and put the meat on the grill. I actually got it on a grate that I have for my toaster oven, just so when I pick it up it won't stick to the grill. I got a meat thermometer stuck in there, and well, right now we have 45 degrees. We want to cook this to about 203 to 208 degrees. Like I said before, once you get between 150 and 160, it's going to stall out, and it's going to stay there for a while. And then once we get about 203 degrees, we're going to check it for tenderness. And once it's real tender, we probe it like butter. Then it's time to go ahead and take it off. Alright, temperature got up to about 203 degrees. I went on ahead and checked it, probed it for tenderness, and it was tender. So I went on ahead and took it out, put it in this pan here, and now I'm going to let it set for about, let's say 30-45 minutes, maybe an hour. I'm going to put it in the oven without being on. Let them juices redistribute within the meat, and then it's going to be pulling time. Alright, so I've let this meat settle some. So now I'm getting ready to go ahead and pull it. And this is what I have here. I have these things called bear paws. Basically what you do is you put it in here and you just go ahead and pull at it. Now first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this bone. So there's a bone in here. It's a real big. And here it is. Go ahead and get this meat still smoking. It's been sitting for a while, but it's still smoking. I'm gonna go on and move this somewhere. A little bit of piece of meat on here, so I'm gonna go ahead and eat it. And put this to the side because there's still a bunch of some meat and bark on here, so I ain't gonna throw that away. I'm going ahead and move that. Now, even though this meat fits in this pan right here, when I go to pull it, it's not going to be enough space. So I got a second pan here. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and probably move about half of it or so. And this stuff is still hot, so I'm going to go ahead and use these bear paws to pick it up and put it over. So let me go ahead and open this up a little bit. And then I get this camera and zoom in on it a little bit. So there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull it. When you pulling it, it's basically going to be shredding. So you just keep on pulling it till it shreds. It looks really, really nice. Got this bark in here. Excuse me, I can't let this bark go to waste. Go ahead and use some of that. So yeah, let me just zoom in some. You can see the shredded meat, shredded pork, whatever you want to call it. And basically you can do this as long as you want. I'm going to go ahead and pull it some more, get some smaller pieces, and then I'll get to the other side. Alright, so that's about enough for that one. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. And that's it. Pulled pork. Easy as 1, 2, 3.